VA to VA hangout, and we're looking forward to being with you all this morning. I'm Tammy with Tammy's Office Solutions, and we have Nanette. I'll let you introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Nanette Telemack, and I'm with In Essence Virtual Assistants in New Hampshire, New England area.
Great. And then we have Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa.
Lisa, can you introduce yourself?
I'm Lisa Kolb with Augusta Virtual Assistants in Augusta, Georgia.
Great. And we were supposed to have Susan join us this morning from Techie Mentor, and she's been stuck in some traffic. And apparently there's been an accident. So we hate that she's not going to be able to be with us today. Maybe she'll join us at the end. But so we want to have kind of an open forum today, and we hope that you'll join us with that and post some questions because we'd love to hear from you all. And but to start out, we're just going to first of all, hoping everybody had a great new year and talk a little bit about what we're going to be doing in this new year. And also, we'll be watching for your questions. So, Lisa, you want to tell us what you'll be doing this year?
I am going to be doing more reading. I want to, I have one in mind, as a matter of fact. It's a leadership book from John Maxwell, How to Lead.
Great. I've heard of that one. Yeah, I've heard of that.
How successful people lead. So I'm going to be starting that this weekend. And I need to get my contact management system under control. So I'm going to begin using Zoho. What are you planning to do this year, Tammy? What are your goals?
To get the company under control. I thought it was headed there. Actually, it was smooth and, everything going along smooth there for just a little bit. And then, unfortunately, I have a VA leaving. So then that gives me a little more work for a little while. So, but it's headed in the right direction. I'm very thankful for that. And as I bring on new clients, I'm hiring new VAs. And so I really want to, one of the things I need to do is get a project management system. I've tried many, just haven't found one that really fit me. So I've been told about a couple different ones that I'm going to look at. But so I'm going to be looking into that definitely. Also, I wanted to tell you, Oprius is a good contact management system too, if you haven't heard of that. It's a PRIUS. It's very, very easy, like FreshBooks, real simple, easy to use.
Okay.
System. So just for, whatever, if anybody needs a system like that.
Okay.
And then continuing to grow, hopefully, the business. But on the side, I like to read and do Bible studies as well as scrapbooking when I have time. And I got a great camera for Christmas, so I'm excited. How about you, Nanette?
This year, well, over the holidays, I've been working on my business and kind of putting together my contracts, contracts to subcontractors and contracts to clients, and trying to now I'm going to spend the new year working on my packages and making sure the pricing is right and what I'm offering is right. And then doing a major marketing campaign and utilizing my husband. I, kind of held him and said, "You're going to do some sales for me." And he's like, "Well, okay." And so I want him to do some cold calling to small companies, and he's going to do that. And he actually just got a new contract to do sales for a company that he thinks could use some social media. So hopefully I can connect with them and offer that. But it's definitely to start utilizing the I've been talking to a couple of people who want to work with me, and I'm excited about that because that's the baby steps I need to start bringing people in. There, one is a home mother, and she's looking to work at home, and the other is a person that just has a lot of, really good skills in design and everything. So hopefully I'll be able to use them to offload as opportunities show up, offload to them. So now I'm at the part where I'm like, okay, now it begins. So, do I have all my ducks in a row? And I'm trying to really assess, making sure that as I move forward, I'm not leaving anything out. So that's going to be the new year. It's going to be a challenging year.
It sounds like it's going to be for all of us, that's for sure. One of the things you brought up, and it's really important that we were going to talk about a little bit too until we get some questions in, is about taking care of all that administrative things, because as we grow our businesses to become that multi-VA company, then we are actually creating more work for ourselves in a lot of ways. We have to get all the contracts, not just for ourselves, but and our clients, but we also have to get the subcontracts together and all of those things. So there's a lot of things to have ready. Your packaging, like you were talking about, and pricing, which is something I find that a lot of VAs don't talk about. They'll talk about, yeah, it's hard to price it or this or that, but they really will not tell what their prices are. I have found. I've not seen anywhere in any of the postings where anybody talks about their pricing. So I find that interesting. But also, again, just all of the extra work that adds in when we become a multi-VA company. So I'm excited for you, Nanette, and I know it's a little bit scary right now, but you're taking those steps, and I think you're, preparing ahead of time, not just jumping right in unprepared. How about you, Lisa? Did you find when you created that multi-VA company that it also was a lot more paperwork and other things for you?
Absolutely. Of course, you have to have your subcontractor agreement. I added a commitment to excellence this year that I sent out to my team. It's just a list of expectations that they sign and date, and I did want to get a copy back. It's not a part of the contract or anything like that, and I want them to print out and keep a copy and have it in front of them. It just talks about being timely and finishing the tasks completely, and if for some reason they have to walk away for a short period, whether it be an illness of a family member, death, hospitalization, any number of things, even a vacation, that they will let me or April know in a timely fashion, and so we can redirect that client to another team member. It's just a list of about 9 expectations of working on the team. So let's see, other paperwork, of course, I have to keep up with paying the subcontractors. Sometimes they forget to send an invoice. I'll get a little email or a text. I pay them when the client pays the company. And so sometimes I'll get a little text and I'll say, well, where's your invoice? That's a responsibility of theirs. And other issues may be, there's only been 1 or 2 instances where a client had an issue with a team member, but I have to step in as mediator at times. So those are aspects that a solo VA does not have to deal with or worry about. So
I agree, and I think that sometimes we think we're going to add a VA, and that's awesome because I'll have less work, and in the end, it really does create more work and more for us to keep up with. And then also, if somebody leaves the team, then you again are in that spot where you have a lot of work. You have the training, so in the beginning, you have double work more or less, because not only are you fulfilling what the client needs, but you're also training that VA, as much as possible. Hopefully, they're very skilled, so you don't have to train too much, but in certain instances with certain software and things like that that the client needs, you do have to do that. And so it really does create, a little bit of overwhelmed feeling, I think, in the beginning, especially when you're going through that. For me, one of the things that really helped was our G Plus community, the VAs. That helped me so much, or just to have somebody to reach out to and say, what do I do? Or I'm just feeling overwhelmed. And it's always encouraging, you know, everybody just lifts one another up, and we've all been there, you know. So as you go into this, that's something you're thinking about?
Well, I agree, and and that's one of the concerns I have as I'm moving forward. So one of the things I'm trying to put into place in the get-go is a policy manual, so to speak, where sort of like what you did, Lisa, with the nine excellence listing, so that they know the process. You know, if you're going to go on vacation, do this. You know, and it just tells what the policy of my company. If you're going to work with me, you know, there are certain guidelines that you need to follow. That is because it's you're representing me and my company and towards the client. So there's some expectations, and so I'm trying to put those in place. I'm hoping to get most of them in advance so that I'm not surprised. I mean, you're always going to have something come up, and you can't plan for everything. But I'm hoping to get most of it, the obvious stuff put in place.
Susan, when she does come on next month, she does talk about a operations manual that all team leaders need to have.
Well, that's good.
It should be comprised of those expectations, those policies, those internal issues like project management software and knowing how to use it. And let's see, other things would be the way they're going to get paid, how they're going to get paid, whether it be online or check or, whatever system there is. And then, just a list of internal dialogue, internal issues, questions that the subcontractors will have working on a team. And I'm working on my operations manual as we speak.
I've been working on one, I think, for a number of years. I think it really does take a life of its own in some aspects. But I do, I had an initial one, but now I find I was originally doing something a little different. I was doing a lot of more cold calling, like you were talking about with your husband in it. And now we're really focused in a different area, more focused in doing some of that bookkeeping, accounting, and social media posting, as well as some customer service support. And so it's a little different. And with each client, it's different. So I found that, yes, I have to have those main things in place, like you're talking about with the policies. What's the expectation of my company? How do I want it represented? And all of those things. And then I feel like depending on who I'm going to pair them with, it will be another whole set of kind of short list of manual just in working with that particular client. Have you found that to be true as well?
Me?
Whoever. Whoever wants to grab it.
Yes, I have come across that too. I have an operations manual, but it's not contained. I answer all of
What does that mean?
Well, it's not like Susan says, and that's where I got the idea from. Wow, I need to put mine together and contain it. That when I bring on a new team member, I send them a copy of my operations manual, and it can be in PDF format, type, an ebook type, and it answers all of their questions that I normally already answer on an individual basis about how we work and our expectations and company guidelines and things like that. So that's probably something that Susan's going to go into in a little more detail next month, but it just, when I listened to her free webinar on building a VA team, that jumped out at me. And that's the administrative duties of having a team, having to put that together. Another administrative duty is when you bring on a team member, when you're building your team, you have to review portfolios, you have to contact references, you have to interview that subcontractor. Things that a solo VA does not have to, worry about because that's just them.
Yes, and it's very time consuming. You know, people don't realize, you think, oh, I'm going to get that resume or just talk to that person and get their portfolio or those things, and it is very time consuming. You know, you might get when they, especially in the VA community, when somebody knows you're looking for a VA, of course, you get a lot of great contacts, and you know, trying to choose between those and, you know, lining them up. Like I have a folder right now of those I'm ready to go with, you know, as soon as I have the work for them, and then those I want to interview and things like that. But it does take a lot of time. It really does. And then you still have your clients who have their expectations of you're working on their work. And so, yeah, it does take a lot of time. And you find, at least I found in the beginning, that I was putting in much more than 40 hours a week, more than likely. And I didn't keep track of that time on purpose, just because I knew, you know, it was going to mean, you know, but this is my heart and soul. This is my business. And if it's going to be the way that I need it to be, the way that I feel I'm led to do it, then I have to, you know, and we're going to make mistakes along the way, and we learn the hard way sometimes, you know, but if we can help others out there who are doing things too, then, you know, all the better. And that's kind of why we're here. That's why we're doing the HOAs, is to help others who are doing that at this time. And Nanette, I know you said on the admin side you're working on contracts and all of those other things in your manual. What kind of things are you going to include in your manual? There? Did I lose you?
I can't hear
Oh,
her.
I think you're muted. I
How
think you're
am I
muted.
now? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Sorry. Sort of like an overview of what you know, the goals of my company and what we want. The interactions between a client and the subcontractor, and the expectations the client's going to have. Things that, you know, remembering to communicate. Communication's big, you know.
Yes.
So and the steps to in communication. What types of communication is expected, you know. And I don't need to know you know, everything they're doing with the client, but like you say, the vacation, the sick time. I want to be able to know when they're available to talk, because I don't want someone constantly contacting me, a client or otherwise, all times of the day, as if I was available all the times of the day. I like to know their set schedules, the best time to meet with them. If they need any training, I want them to be able to communicate that to me so that I can make sure that they are getting the training from me that they need. Any issues, so maybe even have a weekly or bi-weekly meeting, depending on the person that is subcontracting with me, so we can, even if it's 15 minutes, just to touch base and make sure everything's going okay, if they have any issues or concerns. So that's kind of the thing I'm trying to put into this manual. And processes, you know, if this happens, this is what you do. If you can't reach a client, you know, or you're having an issue, this is what you need to do, so they know, you know, the steps needed. So this is all new to me, because it's it's easy, like you say, being a sole VA the longest time. You know, I'm the one that has done it, but now that you have bringing the other equation and someone else, now you have to think about it as if it was yourself. You know, what would I want to know? You know, so I'm constantly doing that. If I was working for someone, what would I want to know? What would I want to have available to me?
Do we have any questions, Tammy?
Yes, actually, I was going to just tell you. Thank you, Nadine. I appreciate the questions, and anybody else that wants to post, that'd be great. But Nadine wants to know, Lisa, are your team member contracts? Some contractor, sorry.
Ask that again. You cut off a little bit.
I'm sorry. Nadine wants to know if your team members are employees or subcontractors.
Subcontractors, independent contractors.
Yes. And I know we talked about this in some of the other ones, and Denise talked about it a good bit when she was with us, but that they are not employees, they are subcontractors, and there's a lot of reasons for that. And I know for myself, at the moment anyway, they have to be subcontractors. I can't afford the taxes and all the other things. Plus, they don't work on the premises or anything else. So they really are considered subcontractors for a lot of reasons. But that's just a few of them. Nanette, did you have any input on that as well?
Well, only that, yeah, when I do hire someone, it's going, or partner with, get an associate, if you will. You have to be so careful in the wording.
I know.
But they are going to be a subcontractor. I can't afford either to employ. I mean, exactly what we tell clients: if you can't afford to hire someone, then hire a VA. I mean, it's the same thing for us. Well, I'm trying to find people who want to partner with me and work together with me, but it's under my company because I'm doing the marketing and bringing the clients in. But I'm also, you know, I'm opening myself up to other people who have a more variety of experience that maybe I don't have or have the time to do, even if I have the experience. And so it's a partnership, working together. But with it comes understanding that, you know, it's under my name, my company's name, and so in that respect, there's some rules and regulations that have to apply for anybody that, you know, for any contractor that works. I mean, my husband goes through that with companies he's getting jobs for to do sales. They send a contracting form to him, and as long as he's working for the company, there's at least you're representing them, and that's in the documentation it says that you're representing us, and while you're working for us, please follow these rules. And until the project's done, if or you know you both decide to mutually just disengage. But so that's something that, you know, I try to always remember. And so I wouldn't ask for a resume. I rather talk to someone. I rather give them a form where they list their skills and how many years they've been doing, you know, certain things. Look at maybe some of their work and have even more discussion about their work habits, because those are the things that matter to me, you know, and show me that they have the experience that I can bring them on for my client, because I'm thinking for my client's sake, you know. I don't want to just I want to make sure these people know how to behave in front of a client, how to do the work in a professional way. Excuse me if I have Invisalign, so I'm learning how to speak. Anyway.
Bless your heart. I'm sliding out of the chair and going backwards, and you're
So anyway, that's...
Well, they look beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Any other questions?
Not yet, but I think we did touch on some good things. I think that it is really important in doing our contracts with the subcontractor. I think, Lisa, you've brought out some really good points about that in the past, and about some of the wording that you put in, like we talk about a non-compete agreement, and where that represents the fact that they will not take our clients, because, as you said, Nanette, we're bringing those clients in, we're doing the marketing, we're spending the time and everything else. And the other part about this too is, and we haven't really talked about this before necessarily, but and one of my goals really is to get to the point where I've given all my work away and I am just working on my business and bringing in more clients. Everything I've ever read about successful people, successful businesses, that's exactly what they do. And so that's what my end goal is. Now, I know that's not going to be this year. I know it may take a few years to get there, but that is, you know, my end goal anyway. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, it's mine too. I want to bring up something that came up in conversation with another VA earlier this week that I was misinformed on early in my VA career in building my team. And that is the misconception that a team member can only work with that team leader and that company. And that is not the case. I was told or got this information in a webinar or something with another VA team leader who said that she had it in her contracts that her team members could only work for her business. And in the beginning, I put that same wording in mine. So since then, I have found out to the contrary. I have revised my subcontractor agreements. And I was in conversation with a VA earlier this week that was under that same impression. So I informed her that that was not the case, and she went back and looked at her agreement, and it sounds like she works for one of these large VA companies where you put in RFPs and things like that. And it said in there that they have it worded that we ask that you not work with another direct competitor. But if you do, you are still bound to the tasks that you are given for a particular client and to finish those tasks in a timely manner. Now, I do have that wording, you know, that they are still committed because they sign a contract with every client as well as to the tasks and the work that they will be doing and for how long. So they are bound by contract to complete that contract between the company and themselves with that particular client. But there is nowhere in my contracts now where they are even asked not to work with a competing company. They are just bound by the client that they are working for us. And I also have a non-circumvention clause to where they cannot take a client they are working with and move away from AVA and work for that client and with that client themselves.
How is that different, Lisa, than a non-compete?
I would have to pull my contract out because I don't know it by heart. Non-compete is that they, I think the non-circumvention also mentions that they cannot like talk to another subcontractor on the team and say, hey, let's me and you partner up and start our own VA company and circumvent either a client or another team member. And a non-compete, I also have the clause that they cannot, this may be in my non-compete, that they cannot, you got me on the spot, Tammy.
I'm so sorry. I've always heard the non-compete, okay, and I know you have some different wording, which is great, because we learned from that, and I know you've had circumstances where you've had to do this, so trying to understand, I have the non-compete in mind as well, but like you said, they are not just locked into me. You know, if they can work, you know, 20 hours for me, 20 hours for somebody else, that's up to them as long as they're filling the need that I have hired them for. But I did, I was just curious when you said the circumvention differently than the non. But we can talk about that next time.
I'll send it to you.
You'll look it up for us and let us know, okay? But yeah, I think that non-compete is crucial. I think that we have to have that just to protect ourselves, our business, because we, like, you know, Annette said, this is our business. It represents us, and we want to be well represented. We want to be professional. We want them to act in that manner as well. And we certainly don't want them taking the clients that we've worked so hard to get, you know, and it took a long time to even get where we are today, you know, and to the respect of where we can add VAs to our group and our team and build that team. So, yeah, I think that's an important part of it. And it doesn't mean that they can't have their own clients. It just means they're not going to be taking ours.
Right. If I worked that hard to find them and I did the cold calling and you're afraid to cold call, yeah, they're mine. So, and it's a small community. I know to have that in there, but my attitude is like, this is too small of a community for people to behave that way. But you have to protect yourself because people do. Yeah.
Exactly.
And that is true. You don't realize sometimes how small it is.
Right.
And then I know we were talking in the green room before about a circumstance that happened this week. And as soon as Lisa started to tell me about it, I knew nothing about it, but I knew exactly the person, you know, that was involved because it is small. community. And so, you know, that's just, you know, you always want to behave in a professional manner, represent yourself well as your business or any other clients that you're representing. And I would hope that those that are going to choose to work with us understand that as well, and choose to work with any of those out there that are looking at creating a multi-VA company. Those are the things, you know, you have to decide within yourself, what are your morals? What are your guidelines? What won't you, you know, what's the point you won't go beyond? And even back it up further sometimes, like with kids, you know, and I'm not saying that the VAs are kids. I'm not saying that. Please don't misunderstand.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying they need boundaries. Go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing. Just boundaries, just having boundaries within your business, and it's good business.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, it is. It's important, and it helps them to understand and know. I mean, if we all have that, then we know what the rules are. We know what we perform at and in what manner. That the expectation is of us. If we don't know the expectations, we can't perform in that manner.
Right.
So I think those are really important. Does anybody have any more questions? Nadine, that was a great question. Sorry, we did get off track a little bit, but I think we answered it. And then if anybody else has any questions, feel free to post them on the site where our link is for the HOA, because we'd love to take some more questions if you have any.
Right.
And in talking about administrative things, I know we were talking about that sometimes we feel overwhelmed with it because in the beginning it is as if we're taking on more work. And so I would even recommend to those who want to create a multi-VA team, and you know that, then to make sure that you have not overbooked yourself before you start creating that team, that almost underbook yourself, so that creating that team and give that work away, and then, you know, you can do more, etc., so that you don't feel that overwhelmed and don't feel, you know, that crunch for the expectation to train the VA as well as to do the client work.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Any pointers on that, Lisa or Nanette?
No, go ahead, Nanette. I'm drawing a blank. You're mute. You're mute. Oh, we can't hear you.
There we go again.
There we go.
I try to be quiet while she's speaking, and then I forget. But no, but I totally agree. I mean, that's this year. The beginning of this year has been slow for me because a couple of work that I've been doing has subsided. I've kind of now I'm waiting on the client. This is a busy time. I've done everything I needed for them at this moment. So before we start ramping up again, I have this quiet time, and so I'm using this to do all the policies. I'm trying to do it every night, you know, a little bit of it a day, you know, and tweaking it and setting it aside and looking at it again, making sure I have everything in order. And I think you have to do it that way. There's no way that you can do it and meet with and deal with your customers at the same time. It's just you don't have enough time in the day. So I agree, and I'm almost a little stressed because because it's slow, you know, if I'm watching my favorite show or something, I'm saying, Annette, get out, get going, because you're not going to have this moment, you know.
That's true, I know, and it seems like when we get really busy is when we think, oh, I need another VA, and then you don't have the time to put into it, you know. Right. So it's a catch-22 sometimes. Right. So I really recommend for those that are out there looking to start it, to do it before your workload is full.
I have to say, I have a couple of team members that are going to have time constraints really soon. My paralegal has taken on a full-time position with her boyfriend in marketing his new business. So she has asked me to scale anything back for her as to single projects, not ongoing. Now, my legal assistant is looking for ongoing support, so that switch is fine. I do have a team member who's looking at the possibility of surgery and recovery. So I'm watching that very closely as she goes to the doctors and gets tests done, because she has a client that is not going to be able to deal with downtime. I am looking at bringing on another team member that if that possibility is there, that team member is ready to go when she gives the surgery date. Because it's not only surgery, it's recovery. And then, what will she decide after that? So I'm preparing for that. And then one of my subcontractors is moving to Charlotte, North Carolina. She has a client, and her client is totally virtual, and that client knows this possibility. So she will keep that client, but she has asked for no more. And I'm going to need someone with her skill sets to be there for other client work.
A lot of movement.
A lot of changes
Yeah.
too. Did you have something to say, Nanette? I'm sorry.
Oh, I just said it was a lot of movement. That's a lot.
I think that's where.
Yeah.
I think that's where what you were talking about earlier, Lisa, about those policies and when somebody's sick and when somebody's down, when emergencies come up, then what? And because I'm in that situation myself. And without somebody already trained in the software that I need, because it's a different kind of software, and you do have to get trained in it first, it just falls on me at the moment, And so that is hard. And I think the fact that, we do try to prepare, like I said, I have some ready to go, but I still have to train them. And then others that can go on other projects, But it is so true. So many things can just come up. And therefore, if you have 10 VAs working with you and one in surgery, one leaving, one moving, etc., all of a sudden you have 3 extra clients to deal with, and you're already busy. So it is important to have those standby people as well who can pick up where your current ones left off.
Right.
By the way, we have another question. So Pam, thank you so much. She says that, this is Pam's question. She says, my subcontractor is a family member, and it's worked great. He lives in another city a few hours away. Do any of you have family members as subcontractors, and what do you think about doing that? Any advice?
My daughter
Anybody?
is my daughter is co-owner.
Say it again.
My daughter is co-owner. And at the moment, she doesn't have any clients. She likes single project work because she is a single mom and has a full-time job as HR director. She does business plans, scrub resumes, write resumes, format resumes, things like that. She likes that type of work. It works very well. We have no issues. She's also on my leadership team, so that if I have questions about pricing, questions about a certain client who has needs and needs some advice on how to price something kind of unusual or out of the box, questions about the subcontractors or maybe an issue that comes up there, being an HR manager and having a team of people under her already and then employees under that, she's a great resource to use. So it works very well with us.
I think that if you have family members that are have a good work ethic and have the talent and agreed to work with you, that's wonderful. It's I have some family members I'd love to have join my team and mention that they'd be interested. But I treat them just like I would any subcontractor that I'm thinking of bringing on. I want to know their work habits. I want to know that they're going to be reliable. Just because we're family members doesn't mean that, if I feel like it today, maybe I'll do a little work for you. They have to be on board all the way and committed. And so, it's, I'm not here just to help them get, some extra money so they can buy that new coat. I'm here to, to run a business. So I'm going to treat them just like I do any other subcontractor, but I'd love to have family members because because I'd love to. I love them, and I think that if it helps them, it helps me. So.
Yeah, I agree. Like you fast food service industry, so yeah, they have to be committed certainly. And now I had always heard, Pam, that don't work with family members. If you own a business, you don't hire family. But my family has come through for me and helped me many times, especially when I've had a big project and it was something they could do. They jumped on board and helped, and that kind of thing. My daughter's looking at maybe joining me, and her and I are best friends, so that would be great. And we've talked about it, though, realistically, because I think there could be some of those, if you're not careful, those times when you want it one way and they want it differently or something like that. But I think that if it's your company, you're the one running it, ultimately it's your decision on how that goes and how that works. And I think if it's working for you, Pam, that's great. I'm sure there's many family members some of us wouldn't want to work with, but I'm just thankful when I can have a family member work in this, not to hire family or friends. Had you guys been told similar?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been told the same thing, and I think that's a good guide at times, but because there's a lot of I know a lot of people probably have horror stories of she was my best friend and she was working for me, and then she just did whatever she wanted, or she never corresponded with me. So there are a lot of horror stories like that with family members as well as friends. But I think if you really assess it in the business with your business cap on and not with your I'm trying to be nice and it's my friend, but really with your business, your company has to come first, and if you do it that way, then the chances of something messing up is a lot slimmer.
Agreed. Yeah, I think what you say about your thinking cap rather than those feelings,
Right.
because that's hard sometimes, and especially as women, that's very difficult for us at times to disassociate. And so, I think that is, you have to think of it in that way. And sometimes even for family, we've actually seen how they work, what their morals are and all of those things with work and what their work ethic is. And so we already have a history and can know if they're a hard worker and they're going to get in there and do it and all of that, then we're very fortunate to have that history with them where we may not have that with others. So so I think that's a great opportunity. But like you said, I think it's a general guideline. It's good. But if you have that history with somebody and you think it would be good, and I think going into it being realistic about it, and like if either one of you says, okay, at some point this isn't working, but we're going to be okay with that, I think you have to almost go into it that way sometimes. So that's a great discussion, Pam. Thank you for that question. And ladies, did you have anything else that you wanted to mention while we wait on some other questions?
On that note about family, I think it just comes down to a good rule of thumb, which is mutual respect, mutual understanding.
Yes.
If you understand each other's skill sets, experience, respect each other's boundaries, like the fact that my daughter has to concentrate on her full-time job. She has her benefits through that, her children need those benefits, that insurance, that really does come first. And she had a very time-consuming client at one point and said, this is getting to be too much alongside my new position. And so her younger sister, my youngest daughter, did come in for a short time and help her with some overflow, because we did respect the fact that she had a new position, a full-time job, and that was the priority.
Excellent. Yes, so true. Pam commented that discussion, this family member is actually my 26-year-old son. And she said he's very dependable and good at the work. He likes the type of work I'm not crazy about. And I like the work that he doesn't. So it's a really great match. And I think that's it right there. Pam said it very well. And that's the great thing about hiring VAs. We might not, like you talk about your legal assistants. I know your expertise, Lisa, is really in real estate. And so we can bring on VAs who, are legal assistants and things like that, who would maybe open a new client to us that we wouldn't have been able to service prior to that. Do you want to comment?
Oh, yes. That's why I started a team, because I was told by a mentor who is a VA that if she put it like this, she said, well, how are you going to, what kind of clients are you looking for? And I said, realtors, because that's my niche. And she said, okay, do you want to
Mm-hmm.
make money or do you want to make money? And I said, well, I want to make money. And she said, well, then you've got to expand on what you offer. So that got the wheels turning. And I had different skill sets other than real estate. I know Excel, I know PowerPoint, and I know Word documents, and I can build resumes and, different things like that. Get your wheels turning on, what your skill sets are. But I also knew that attorneys were a good niche for VAs.
Mm-hmm.
So I went out looking for a paralegal, and my paralegal, just so happened, I've known for years through Mary Kay. And she jumped
How
on the
about that?
opportunity because she wanted the freedom of a flexible schedule. She's young, single, likes to travel, and she hated sitting behind a desk in an attorney's office, so it just fit her. And then, I met a website designer and had an accountant come to me, said she'd like to do some bookkeeping on the side, and, it just, because I don't do bookkeeping. I don't do my own bookkeeping. I give that up. So I know my limitations too, and I knew what client base that I wanted to go after. And honestly, I try not to tell a client no.
I agree, and I think you do have to know where your limits are, and then again where you want to pursue and expand to. So I think you have to define those areas. And like you, if a client comes and says, "Well, can you do this?" Of course, we can do that. Might not be able to do it today, but we can do that, right? Or
Right.
I know I've had clients come to me, and Pam and I live near each other actually, and so we'll refer work sometimes back and forth. Like she does transcription. I don't do that. And she may, somebody may come to her that needs something that I could do. And so it's great also to do that. And one thing I've found about the VA community that's wonderful is that I did not expect that. That was a huge surprise to me when I joined well over a year ago. And I really enjoyed, the fact that we can help one another and do those things. But I love the idea of expanding and knowing your market. How about you, Nanette? Do you have your market well defined?
Yeah, it's broad though, and it's hard to define it because there's so many things that I like doing. I mean, I do have a creative background and technical background, but administrative tasks is to me the easiest thing to do, and so I don't. So I'm pretty broad, but there are some things I don't like doing, and accounting is one of them. And but if somebody wants me comes to me and asks, "Can I do that?" I will go out and subcontract an accountant, a bookkeeper or something. But I think I've defined my market as virtually any small company that can't hire someone to do either marketing, sales, or administrative tasks, and that's a wide door for me. So. So making sure I have the right people, and it's really about talking to the customer and finding out exactly what they want off their plates. And then once I understand that and know what they want to achieve, and that's through the consultation, then I know, do I want to do that? Is that my skill level, or do I want to subcontract somebody for two reasons? One, because I want to concentrate on the administrative task of running my business and get offloaded to someone else, or because I don't like doing that. I can do it, but I don't want to, or I just don't have the skill sets. So those are the three reasons why I would want to have someone else. And also that helps build my business because it's chugging along, it's bringing in income.
Absolutely.
I can concentrate on doing what I need to do to expand it even more.
Absolutely, yeah. And I'm like you, I have a pretty broad range of things. And that's how I started out. When I kept seeing you need to have, that niche, I thought, well, I kind of do a lot of things, and I've learned a lot more along the way, and you add to that skill. And I don't know, most VAs also take more classes and things like that to learn more. I'm always looking for more education type things where I can add skills, and so I think, we're always growing too, and in our to get a bigger diversity, to be able to serve more clients. And I think that's really important. Even as a solo VA, you need to do that, and but then when you're able to add more, and that's one of the things I did too, as I used Woo and created a survey for those who wanted to work with me. And then I put in there all the different types of tasks, like say Word documents. Are you good at it, or are you an expert? PowerPoints, those kind of things. Then do you have any expertise in legal, realty, all those different markets? Need somebody I can kind of pull in from that market, from that survey, and say, oh, well, they have the skills to do that. And so I think that, mine is probably way too long, but it's a starting point, and I can go back and adjust it to what I need. But it's at least somewhere to start, like you were talking about, so that you talk to the person, the VA, get to know what they're good at, and begin, and in the end, it really is about a relationship, a working relationship with them in partnership. And just like with anything, with your clients and anything else, it's about developing that relationship so that you all can work effectively and excel in it. Not only effectively, but excel in it and become, good in your fields.
Mhm.
Any comments, ladies? We only have about 8 minutes left. So any other comments or questions from anyone? And Lisa or Nanette, do you have anything you want to add?
The only thing I'm struggling with right now, I guess I can share, maybe we can get some input, is, when I do, when I am going after a client, do you both bring up front that, you're a multi-VA company, you have other people, so it's not necessarily going to be you, working on their project. So is that something you say up front, when you're talking to them? And
Lisa, do you want to take that first, and then I'll answer?
Yeah, I do. I let them know that I have a team. Now, if it's a realtor, then automatically I'm going to assign myself to them, even though I do have an unlicensed assistant, real estate assistant on the team. Realtors are very time consuming. They're very time consuming.
Good to know.
And it's, it's my comfort zone, so I automatically assign myself to them. But I do, I find myself saying we a lot instead of I and me. And I wonder if that confuses some people because they email me or call me and they're talking to me about their, business needs. And sometimes I wonder if they're thinking of working with me because my wheels are turning as I'm getting their needs assessment in my head and writing things down. Who's going to be the better fit for this person? Is it going to be me or someone else on the team? I'm constantly in that mode when I'm talking to a client. And so I wonder if when I say we and us, if they may get confused. But the business name is Assistance. It is plural. So it's out there up front, no bones about it, that we are a team of VAs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree to some extent with what Lisa's saying too. Depending on who the client is and what exactly they are interested in. So, like you, Lisa, my head's turning and I'm thinking, okay, what do I need to do to meet the needs of this client? And if I know that it's not going to be just me and that I am going to be passing the work along, then yes, I do let them know that I have a team of people, and that usually I try to do the first little bit of the work just to get a feel for it, if I'm able, before I hand it off, just so I know what it takes, how much time it takes, that kind of thing, so that when I'm billing the client. I know it's reasonable and I know where we are. But so yeah, usually I'll talk to them, and as it moves forward, then yes, I bring them in and say, this is what will happen. Does that help?
It does help, because you know, I was struggling with how to start that conversation, and I'm definitely putting it within the contract. That's the multi-VA, and someone will be assigned to them, that kind of thing. But you know, in the conversation, because I know some people have this, you know, they start concerned. Well, is it going to be you? And you know, someone else, they worry about that, and so that's something that maybe next week when we talk with Susan, we can approach her about how do you get over that you know, when people see you, they trust you. But if you're using a team, how do you, you know, ease their concern and also bring in the subcontractor?
And remember too that ultimately you're the one responsible. Ultimately, it comes back to you.
Right.
So you are the one that will reassure them, to tell them that you will, you know, be sure that their needs are met. And if they're not, you want to know right away so that you can take care of it. And I think as long as they know that you're more or less the project management leader, you know, you are the one leading the team, and you know what's going into it, you know the work that's being done and all of that, then I think the client gets pretty comfortable with it pretty quickly, as long as everything's going smoothly. You know, I think as long as the work's getting done and everything's getting done, then I think it's good on both ends.
Right. That's a good point.
Yeah, so I mean, and I think that just really summarizes it, though, in general, is that ultimately it comes back to our responsibility if that client isn't happy, regardless of who we've assigned it to, because we're the one that brought the client in, we're the one that told them this is what we're going to do for you and all of those things.
Right.
And if it doesn't work out, then ultimately you're the one losing the client.
Right.
So,
Right.
I mean, although it does affect the VA, but ultimately it affects your company too.
Right.
Any last pieces of advice, Lisa? We've got a few minutes.
No, not really. I'm just looking forward to having Susan on next month. She took her son to school this morning and got caught in traffic from a horrible accident. So we just, you know, our thoughts and prayers go to whoever was affected by that and their families, and hope that everything went well.
Right.
And that she got home safely. And we look forward to having her on next month.
Yep, absolutely. So next month we will have Susan on, and we'll be talking about mistakes to avoid. And I'm glad we had this time, though, to do a little bit of an open forum and get some feedback from others. So that's been great. Nanette, any last words before we sign off?
No, I think that, you know, to your last point about it's ultimately our company, that's always something that I think we should all keep in our heads when we're doing this, working, that this is our company, and you can't shift blame anywhere but to you. And although that sounds scary, but that's also something that whenever you're interviewing a subcontractor or bringing the client, you know, that should be the thing in your mind always. You know, this is your company and what you're representing. You know. So.
Thank you. Absolutely. And I think that's, you know, like, we're here to help VAs, you know, who are thinking about becoming multi-VA companies. And I think it boils back down to, are you ready for that step? It is a little scary, but you can do it. But ultimately, if you don't want that responsibility, then you need to think about that and maybe could still consider being the VA, because you can control a lot more that way, let me tell you, than you can as a, you know, a multi-VA company. There's a lot that you cannot, you know, you just don't even believe the things that'll come up during, you know, running that type of a company. For myself and, of course, us ladies here, definitely wanted to take that risk, and it's been worth it. Yes, we learned along the way, and there's a learning process to it, but I love it. I love having my company, and I love working with the other people that are on my team, and I look forward to working with some new ones too. So, well, thank you, ladies, and thank you, everybody who joined us. We're going off air, and we look forward to seeing you next month, and we'll put the post out. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.